Hello, and welcome back to the What's on My Mind show. My name is Thomas for What's on My Mind, and today I want to talk a little bit about the recent occurrences the within the realm of politics. Now, I know as soon as I say that, people are going to stop listening or tune me out, but please hear me out. I beg you. We are in an unprecedented time. The Republican Party and the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, are en route to circumvent many constitutional protocols and many legal protocols that have been in place in this country for decades, some of them for hundreds of years. The President of the United States has, while in office, granted he has been in office for a little over a month, not even into his first 100 days of his second term, has violated the First, 14th, and 25th Amendments. The First Amendment, which the First Amendment, according to the Constitution of the United States of America, which I have right here, states that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. President Trump has done the second part of that. He has tried to limit the freedom of speech of many individuals within the United States. He has tried to limit the freedom of the press within the United States by calling for the resignation or firing of many well-known press anchors. For example, George Stephanopoulos and many other people within news outlets that he doesn't agree with, that he considers fake news, where in actuality, the news outlets that he supports are completely unfactual and based on misinformation. He's also violated the $14th Amendment, which states that all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce a law in which any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any persons of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny any person within its jurisdiction to the equal protections of the laws. Donald J. Trump wants to get rid of birthright citizenship, which is a gross violation of the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment guarantees the protections of people that are born in the United States. Donald J. Trump wants to remove those because of racism. Equal treatment under the law, also guaranteed in the Constitution. He has also tried to get rid of or remove the protections of the 16th Amendment, which is vote regardless of race. Most of the people in the Republican Party have attempted to circumvent the 16th Amendment, which states, the right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or any state on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. Okay, the reason for this is following the Civil War. It came into effect following the Civil War because former slaves were unable to vote, and Jim Crow laws came into effect to try and circumvent this. Voter suppression mainly targets people of color and people of underrepresented and less privileged backgrounds, people who are non-white. And the 15th Amendment guarantees their protections against voter suppression. All voter suppression techniques are infringements on people's right to vote and their constitutional right to have their voice heard. He's also in violation of the $25th Amendment, which is which states thereafter, when the President transmits to the President pro tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives his written declaration that no inability exists under Article 4 of the 25th Amendment, whether the Vice President and a majority of either of the principal officers of the executive departments or of such other body as Congress may by law provide transmit to the President pro tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives their written declaration that the President is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office, the Vice President shall immediately assume the powers and duties of the office as acting President. Donald J. Trump is in a state of cognitive decline. Everybody was worried about how President Biden was in a state of cognitive decline. While it is true that he was, and I'm not going to deny that, Donald J. Trump lies whenever he opens his mouth and has lied and sided with a dictator, the leader of Russia, Vladimir Putin, against the better judgment of the American people and of the United Nations General Assembly. He's gotten into arguments with foreign leaders. He's been emasculated by foreign leaders. He has a person in power who isn't even a United States citizen trying to run the country. I'm of course talking about Elon Musk. Elon Musk is not a citizen in the United States. He's a citizen of South Africa. He also happens to be a descendant of a pro-apartheid South African politician. Yes. Donald J. Trump is not suitable to be the President of the United States. Full stop. I'm sorry for anyone who disagrees with me on this, but it's true. Unfortunately, we are quickly becoming an authoritarian regime within the United States. I am not exaggerating. It took Adolf Hitler 53 days to dismantle a constitutional democracy. He became the Chancellor of Germany under constitutional powers. He then consolidated power to turn Germany at the time, which was the German Republic and the Weimar Republic, and the German Confederation, or the Republic of Germany, into a fascist state and into the National Socialist controlled Nazi Germany. That took 53 days. Yes, I'm not joking. I am deeply, deeply concerned for the future of this nation. And anyone who knows anything about politics should also be deeply concerned for this nation and for everyone who resides within it, whether or not you voted for Donald Trump, or whether you voted for Donald Trump or you didn't vote for Donald Trump. You should be calling out everything that he does as unlawful, because it is. Trying to drill in the Arctic is against NATO. Trying to siding with an authoritarian regimes against an invasion of a foreign country is the mark of an authoritarian. It's the mark of a fascist. Donald Trump is a fascist. I've said this before and I will say it again. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not trying to be a reactionary. I'm telling the truth. There is no way that I can say that he is doing a good job as president. He's not. And it scares me. This is the American people we're talking about. The American people, especially with a government as incompetent and incapable and incompatible with human dignity as this one, will not be able to discharge their powers to preserve, protect, and defend our Constitution to the best of their abilities when they've done nothing but try and circumvent it. When they've done nothing but try and undermine the rule of law in every piece of legislation. They've tried to remove constitutional and legal protections from immigrants, from people with diverse backgrounds. They've gotten rid of diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. While merit-based hiring is necessary for certain things, there are also significant disadvantages towards people who are of underrepresented backgrounds within the workforce. African Americans, Latin Americans, other people of color, members of the LGBTQIA community, members of the indigenous community, and anyone else who is from an underrepresented background within the United States is at risk currently of being targeted by new legislations. He's also tried to fire FBI agents who worked on the January 6th case. Okay, let me explain something here. The January 6th case is a case into attempted treason. Or it is a treason case. By attempting to circumvent those legal proceedings, you are thereby saying that you do not approve of being called a traitor to your own nation. Donald J. Trump helped to facilitate, organize, plan, and carry out an act of treason against the United States government to attempt to circumvent a constitutional and legal event. That being the certification of Joseph Robinette Biden as the 46th President of the United States. That was our own Reichstag fire. I'm not exaggerating. Because, if you think about it, Donald J. Trump said prior to the election that any result that was not in his favor would be fraudulent. There was checks done. There were recounts done. And the vote was discovered to not be fraudulent. which was another one of his many multifaceted lies. Like I said before, Donald Trump is a liar. He cannot be trusted. Do not listen to what he says when he opens his mouth, because he cannot be trusted under any circumstance. Unfortunately, people do not realize how grave of danger our democracy is in. They think, oh, it doesn't affect me because I'm not one of the people that he's going against, or I agree with his policies. It doesn't matter. We're all going to be affected. The price of eggs is going through the roof. The price of healthcare soon will. Many people will no longer be able to afford health insurance, or will no longer be covered by health insurance because of his attempted removal of the Affordable Care Act. The Republican Party controls all three branches of the U.S. government. This is the first time that this has been the case in several decades. I'm not really sure on the exact number, but this is the first time this has happened in several decades. And while this is unprecedented, his attempted control of all facets of government is even more alarming. He is called the leader of a constitutional government, a dictator. He called Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, the constitutionally elected president of Ukraine, a dictator. While siding with Vladimir Putin, the authoritarian leader of Russia, over a constitutional government, over a legally created government that hasn't used extrajudicial methods to maintain power for the longest period of time possible. Unfortunately, I do not see how Donald Trump is not an authoritarian or fascist leader. His party base is made up of white supremacists and right-wing leaders that have repeatedly been compared to a modern-day form of his Gestapo. He and his secret police. There are people who he pardoned for their roles in the Capitol insurrection that are now going around and being the thought police and the opinion police over anyone that they disagree with, or over anyone that they see is dangerous to their homogenous society of people who agree with Donald Trump. I don't know how the individual is safe in this new government. I don't, because while he might not be saying that he's doing anything, he's definitely doing something that is considered illegal. I want to finish with a poem that I think many people should know and should read. The poem is called First They Came. And I think that this is an updated version from 2023. The original was written by a Holocaust survivor. Now listen to these words carefully. Based on First They Came by Martin Niemöller. First they came for the trans youth, but I did not speak out because I was not a transgender youth. Then they came for the trans adults, but I did not speak out because I was not a transgender adult. Then they came for the same-sex marriage, but I did not speak out because I was not in a same-sex marriage. Then they came for the lesbians and gays, but I did not speak out because I was not lesbian or gay. Then they came for those in interracial marriages, and I did not speak out because I was not in an interracial marriage. Then they came for the blacks, Hispanics, Asians, and Islanders, and I did not speak out because I was not a black or Hispanic or an Asian or an Islander. And then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me. I want to read another version of this. That was updated by C.D. Turner. You can find this on poets.com. First they came for women's rights, and you did not vote to save them, for you thought other women would do it. Then they came for trans rights, and you did not vote to save them, for you thought they were insignificant. Then they came for people of color, and you did not vote to save them, for you thought they deserved it. Soon they'll come to take the women, and you'll deny your lack of action caused it. Soon they'll come for your children, and you'll cry that you didn't expect it. Soon they'll come for you, and no one will be left to stop it. Thank you.